Welcome guys to Purpose Trade. On this video, I want to talk about basically what my experience has been as a former energy trader, professional energy trader. So for those of you who haven't watched my previous videos, I talked a bit about my career as a power trader, power and gas, mainly power. So I'm not going to mention the company for obvious reasons. If you don't, but you can figure it out which it is. I was located in this place called Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's a nice town. I've lived there for close to a decade by then. So, you know, I'll tell you how I got the job, and then I'll tell you what my experience has been working as a professional trader in Canada. And look, first thing first, how I got the job. My background is originally from chemical engineering, but I have were done trading on my own from a young age. I've gotten into trading from a pretty young age. So I knew the ins and outs of trading in different markets from a young age. And then I did trading with uh, other people, not professionally, but yeah. So I knew basics about trading, no doubt. But yeah, my bachelor's degree was in chemical engineering. I didn't like it that much, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Your parents tell you to get a good degree, right? You take engineering, and so that's what I did. I worked in engineering roles. I worked in chemical labs. Obviously, I didn't like it, so I was working in this oil sands chemical lab, and I wouldn't say it's a bad job. I worked with pretty nice people. They were decent people, but you're dealing with oil samples. There's rocks everywhere. It's dirty. One day it just hit me. I don't want to do this kind of job for the rest of my life. Working with rock samples and there's oil everywhere. It's sticky from the oil sands, in Alberta. And yeah, I just don't want to do this kind of work anymore, you know? Even though we weren't working on actual oil sands zones, we were working in chemical labs that were analyzing samples of oil sands. But these samples were all messy, dusty, sticky. And yeah, one day I just woke up and I decided, no, I don't want to do this kind of work anymore. So I left the job. And after that, it was around Christmas time when I left the job. And yeah, so I was out of work for 1 or 2 months after that. So what ended up happening was that I was just applying to whatever job I could online. And I came across this power trading job. I didn't know what power trading was back then. I just saw the trading part and I was like, F it, let me apply. They called me for an interview, did the interview. There was a phone interview with the recruiter, went well. They wanted to do a video interview, did that, that went well. I honestly didn't know I'd get the job. I was doing interviews for roles closer to my chemical engineering degree. So I was more focused on getting the job there. I wasn't really focused on getting the job in power trading role because I don't have any professional trading experience. I just gave the job interview. What the heck, let me just give the interview at least. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. And yeah, so gave the interview in power trading. And at the same time, I was giving other interviews in roles related to chemical engineering. And after all that, as you know what happens nowadays, the interview team went silent for a few weeks. They're processing all the details, deciding who to hire, blah, 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 which is cool. And then I got an offer from one of my chemical engineering role I was interviewing in. And just a few days later, I got an offer from this power trading role. Now, I had to choose between whether I want to work the rest of my life as an engineer doing boring engineering jobs, or I want to take a little bit of adventure and do something fun. And so I took up the power trading role. And yeah, so I did that, and it completely changed my life. I was a different man. The man I went into the power trading role was not the man that came out when I left that job. I can tell you that much. I stayed there for 1 year. It completely changed me in 1 year. Um, I'll tell you what my initial vibe was when I got to the place. So my manager came to the front desk and took me to the office of the trading office. And obviously, the trading room, it was a big room. It was secured. You had to get the access pass to get in and all that. So yeah, we went in. The first vibe I got from the trading room was that everyone there was extremely over friendly. I guess that was a telltale red sign, red flag I should have noticed. But everyone was extremely over friendly, which is something I didn't like at all. And yeah, sorry. I would say I didn't like it, but it did give me a bad vibe because I've done a lot of work before that, and nowhere ever was anyone happy to, oh, here's a new employee, I have to train him. I'm happy. Like, that never happened to me before that power trading role. But in this power trading role, the first few weeks in the office, everyone's super happy to train me. Everyone's extremely happy to talk to me and super happy to train me. And yeah, everyone was just super happy. So I guess that was a bit of a red flag. I should have noticed what was going on. And well, yeah, once the training phase was over, I got into the role, and that's when the favors started coming in. So everyone was the people who put in the most effort to train me. They were asking for favors like, can you put this trade down for me? Can you take this shift for me? Do extra work basically. Take their shifts, put their trade down. It might sound like simple task, but putting the trade, completing their trade, buying transmission, power transmission to finish their trade off, and all the stuff. It's complicated. It's not easy. And so that's what I realized. Okay, there's a bit of a quid pro quo here. It's not like they were happy to train me in the first few weeks. They were putting in the effort because they expected something. I guess I should have seen that coming. But yeah, it is what it is. And so yeah, once that was done, after that, people, it was good the first few weeks. I mean, I lost a bit of money. The senior trader wasn't happy about that. He was kind of pissed with me from the beginning. He kind of, I mean, look, when people are being mean towards you, are being angry towards you, more often than not, they're having issues in their own lives, and that's what I've experienced too. But yeah, like I lost a bit of a significant amount of good money in the first few weeks, and yeah, the senior trader wasn't happy about that. And yeah, after that, I made a bit of money, bit of money, good money, good amount of money actually. The senior traders were happy, but then I got the envy from my own traders, from my own. So we had the power traders, and then we had the senior term trader who was trading in the futures market. So obviously, when I was making money, the senior traders were happy, but the power traders who were working with me had a lot of envy in them. And yeah, so it didn't take long for the envy to come out. So it went from, hey, here's a new guy, let me help him train him up, to, oh, this guy's making money and he's just got on the desk. And in trading, especially, you're gonna come across people, they don't even bother to hide their envy. If they're jealous of you, they're gonna show it in very aggressive ways. And but it didn't show any jealousy towards me per se, but I could tell that they were worried. Who's this new guy making so much money in such a short period of time, right? And I mean, yeah, like, in terms of the atmosphere there, everyone was extremely like chill, wearing t-shirts and pants. No, nothing formal. Maybe the VP of trading would wear shirts and pants and tuck in his shirts and all that, but everyone else was kind of chill. Shirts and pants, just normal vibe, nothing posh. But I mean, yeah, like I would get attention from the girls. There was a bit of envy about that, but that wasn't a big deal to be honest. Yeah. But in terms of everything else, like yeah, the traders were pretty normal people. They were nice guys, actually. But the main problem actually started when I wouldn't say it was a bit of a problem, but I realized late, not very late, but soon enough, I realized that the future is not very bright for someone in power trading. That's when it hit me because like the first few months was fine. Then I made a bit of money in the next few months. That was fine as well. But then, I was just getting on the desk and like there was literally nothing to do. We had our power plants to manage. Okay, that was good. I'll do a bit of power and gas trading here and there. Okay, fine. Make a bit of money here and there. There wasn't a lot of trading to do anyway. The markets weren't very liquid at all. Um, but other than that, there was literally nothing to do on the desk. And the problem with that is when you work in an environment where people have very little to do on a day-to-day basis, they indulge in what I call unnecessary BS, gossips, just unnecessary stuff because they have little to do. And, I'm someone who always has to do something, I have to work. So, yeah, like after, like, I would say 8 or 9 months, I just told my manager, like, this role isn't working out for me. There's literally nothing for me to do. Like, I get on the desk, I put in the trades, I put in the power plant asset pricing. I manage, monitor the power plants, make sure all the compliances are maintained. That's it. Like literally, there's nothing to do. Write a few price forecast reports, but it got pretty boring pretty fast. And then I looked around, I see a bunch of people who have been there for 20, 25 years. Like these are not the kind of people I want to end up as, right? Because I realize they're not necessarily bad people, but it's just they got into the habit of not working on themselves. Some of them were extremely fat. Some of them clearly haven't improved their um, communication skills or whatever for a long period of time. Some of them were just started. Like my manager, I saw my manager starting to learn Python. Just like he was just getting started with learning Python, and this guy is like close to 40. And I talked to the other power traders who have been on the desk for a while, and it just hit me like the problem with working in a job where you don't have to do a lot of stuff on a day-to-day basis. You're basically just staring at the computer and being idle for most of the time. Is that you get into this momentum of not working on yourself. You let go, to put it simple. And it's a very dangerous thing to not keep learning, to let go, because it's a momentum. It's completely a momentum. When you're in the process of learning and improving yourself, you're going to keep doing. The moment you're stagnating, it's sooner or later you're going to start declining. Stagnation is extremely dangerous for any human being. So that kind of job where you're not being pushed to improve yourself on a day-to-day basis because there's very little to do. And you get into this momentum, into this habit of not having to do much, then yeah, man, like in the long run, sure, I mean, you can collect a bit of paycheck and all that, but you haven't achieved what your full potential, to put it simply. And you got into this momentum of not working on yourself. And so, like, for example, when I left that job, like, I'm someone, if I put my mind into something, I'm gonna learn it better and faster than most people. I'm just that guy. Okay, whatever subject you put in front of me, if I put my mind into it, I'm gonna learn it faster and better than you and most people. But when I left that job, I was trying to learn a new language and all the other stuff. I just couldn't focus. And I realized why. Because I got accustomed to a job where I didn't have to put in too much work. And that's why being stagnating, stagnation is such a dangerous thing. Take it like being in a comfort zone, letting it loose, whatever way you want to put it. It's a very dangerous thing. So what I learned from that environment, I guess, if you're gonna get into trading, get into I mean, look, obviously there was the basic nasty stuff that goes on in any trading environment. That was the just, straight up racism and all that BS, that's exists, right? But all in all, the reason I was depressed towards the end of it is because I'm someone who constantly works on myself. And if I can't do that, I'll get depressed. So I guess that's why, like towards the end of that role, when I was thinking about resigning, I just didn't understand why I was depressed. I had a good paycheck, everyone loved me at work. I just didn't get it. But then it hit me that, oh, I'm someone who has to constantly improve. Otherwise, I get into this state of depression. And yeah, so I left the job. And since then, I've been doing works here and there, but I'm mostly focused on helping the world learn about trading and understanding the basics of trading. So yeah, it was an interesting 1 year in that job. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was nice people, genuinely nice people. But there were some assholes as look, you're working with a bunch of traders, you're gonna come across some assholes. I mean, there were some of those, no doubt about that. Um, but in terms of the environment among the power traders, some of them were pretty chill and pretty open, but some of them were kind of two-faced, you know, trying to put their political filters on and all that BS. In terms of the senior traders, I mean, they were all right. Some of them were they're okay. I honestly have very little to say about them. They were all right. In terms of my own manager, I mean, he was a nice guy, don't get me wrong, but he was extremely two-faced. And most Canadians will come across are fake polite and two-faced. And so, yeah, I mean, he wasn't any different to that. And then I had a VP. This guy was extremely narcissist. Like the VP of trading, the best way to find out if someone is a narcissist, like a deep narcissist, is by looking at their bags under their eyes when they smile. So if someone's smiling, so if someone is smiling like this, but the bags under their eyes are dead, that's a deep narcissist. Okay, so it'll be something like smiling, but there's no muscular movement in the muscles under your eyes or in this cheek area. That's someone who's extremely deep narcissist because deep narcissist has to put up this face of being nice and friendly, so they have to put up this fake smile. But the problem with fake smile is the muscles under your eyes don't move. So you'll have this deadness under your eyes. That's a sign of a deep narcissist. Okay. And yeah, so this guy was extremely deep narcissist. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy, to be honest. He was nice with me, but I could hear him make his racist jokes with the senior traders behind me. But look, what do you expect? There's a bunch of traders. The way some of these traders behave is like the world moved on. They still live in the 1980s, 1970s, or whatever. Yeah, they're very old fashioned. I'll give you that. These traders, they've worked in that corporate hellhole in their own little thing for the last 25 years. So they are extremely in a different world from the rest of Canada. So yeah, that's what I noticed. These people have very little connection of what's going on the streets in Canada. I mean, they're not extremely rich either, which is the surprising thing. These are people, okay, for the senior traders, the VP, the managers, maybe they're making around six figures, but they weren't extremely rich, probably upper middle class at best. But the way they behaved is like, they're completely disconnected from what's going on in the ground in Canada. Okay, they're behaving like old-fashioned conservatives from the 1980s. And so, yeah, it was completely weird experience. And I realized that they have their own lives. and their own lives lay in this little bubble in that office. And that's where they work in the and live in the little bubble. They go home, and that's about it. They don't actually interact with most average Canadians because they're doing corporate jobs, you know? They're always busy there, and that's about it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the mid office, the back office people, I really never got to know them much. They were okay. I guess some of them I talked to, but they were very friendly and nice. I don't know. It was overall a nice, it was an average experience. It wasn't extremely bad, but it's just the kind of job, the trading job I had. I mean, there was very little to do, honestly. We guys had very little to do. So yeah, so I just love the job, and because I don't want to regret, and I don't want to end up like them. You're in that job for 20 years and then you're kind of stuck. Yes, you have a bit of experience, blah blah blah, but you're stuck in the variety of roles you can consider for the rest of your life, right? And yeah, it's not a good life. I've heard talk about people who worked in that field, like the leaders in that field. They burn out. They burn out. Things happen, and yeah, it's not a good life. So yeah, I've left the job, and now I've been on this mission to help the world understand trading, make money more sensibly, right? So if you haven't already, please join my channel. That's it for this one. We'll come back with another video pretty soon. Until then, peace.